Hi, it's Jan from FDC, and I want to do a quick product walkthrough of Funtest. Funtest is a software that lets you create automated test sequences for hardware testing. First, we'll take a look at how to connect the hardware that you need to perform a test, such as digital input and outputs, data acquisition system, and anything else specific to your test setup. Funtest is an open plugin architecture. This means it's easy to integrate any type of devices. We already have an extensive library of plugins that supports various equipment, and it's easy to develop a custom one if you need to. For this example, I'll be using digital input and outputs, switching system, relay board, multimeter to perform our measurements, and then finally our device under test. I can see that all devices are recognized and are visible in the device tab. From here, I can manually verify that they're working as expected. For example, I can manually control the digital input and outputs and verify that they work as expected. Let me switch my camera so you can actually see the hardware test setup I have here. Now, if I close the fixture, I can verify that the correct digital input changes states to 1, and I can also control digital outputs to verify that everything works as expected. Notice that I can name individual input and outputs, which is really useful when I will be referring to them from my test sequence. Now that I have everything connected, I can go ahead and start creating my test sequence. That brings us to the second part. Funtest offers test management tools to create and manage test sequences. When I click on the programmer, I can see a file system where I can access all my test sequences from one location. I'll go ahead and select production and production test file. You can organize your test files any way you want to make test management seamless. The way you create test sequences in Funtest is through a spreadsheet editor. Here, I can define my test sequences, including measurement steps, pass and fail criteria, operator interactions to follow procedures, all the way to test reporting, and much more. All these steps are really easy to create without any programming experience. In the following videos, we'll dive deeper into what are the types of test steps that you can use. I can also execute individual test steps directly from here, which is really useful during development or troubleshooting. But for this walkthrough, we are already satisfied with our test sequence, so I can go ahead and go back to the home screen. Now we'll run our test sequence as an operator by selecting the same test file as before. But now, instead of opening up the test file in the editor window, it runs the test sequence and displays any necessary information on the operator interface. So our test sequence starts with instruction to insert the DUT and close the fixture, which we just did. It asks us to enter a serial number of the DUT, and after those steps are done, it will perform tests on the printed circuit board. So first, it will measure resistance on various test points located on our product. After all those steps are done, it will power up the device and verify that it did properly. After that, it programs the device, so uploads the firmware and verify that it has been done correctly. And finally, it will perform a functional test, which consists of communicating with the device and verifying a proper response, essentially simulating how the device will be operating in the real world. And after all those steps are done, the sequence is finished and display instructions to the operator to open the adapter. After the test is done, test report is automatically generated, where I can select from different types of test reports, such as test report, detailed test report from each run, where it can look something like this in a PDF format, where it includes full traceability, including the serial number of the test article, who performed the test, when it was done, together with some overall test station statistics, and then detailed test results specific to the product we just tested. So in summary, this is what Funtest allows you to do in a really easy and user-friendly interface. You can control your hardware test setup, create automated test sequences, guide an operator through an interactive procedure, and finally generate insightful test reports. In the next videos, I'll be showing a little bit more detail on the specific function of FunTest, but this should give you an overview what FunTest is and how can you use it. If you're interested in learning more, check out our website and contact us to get started. Thanks.